With the release of Fortnite Chapter 3, you may notice that your frames are dropping drastically. On top of that, you might have increased input delay and maybe even some ping issues. In this video, I'm going to show you all of the fixes for these issues as quickly as I possibly can. And this is for PC users only, whether you're Radeon or Nvidia, I got you covered. Let's hop straight into it. The first thing you need to do in this video is open up your task manager. I'm going to assume you know how to open your task manager. If not, all you have to do is go to the search icon on your PC and search up task manager, and then obviously click the application. When you have it open, you want to go all the way down to services, and this is going to look very confusing, so you need to pay attention very in depthly right now. We're going to go all the way down to S, and we're looking for something called sysmain. Here it is right here, SYSMAIN, and all we want to do is make sure that it's running. The reason why you want to make sure it's running is because this is what's going to debloat your system. Most people might have this unstopped because a lot of packs that you've installed from other types of FPS videos and FPS packs, if you're not aware what they are, they're packs you can download, you just run them, it fixes your frames. Some of them will turn this off, and we want to make sure it's running on for the most optimal performance. That's tip number 1. Let's move on to tip number 2. Okay boys, so for step 2 of this video, we're going to change our power plan, but we're going to go a bit further than just changing the power plan. So to do that, we're going to go down here and we're going to type in choose a power plan. For me, it's already typed in, so I'm just going to select it. We're going to get met with this window right here on screen. Now this, I currently have Adam X's power plan enabled. If you do not have Adam X's power plan, it's perfectly okay. I got this from Adam X's videos. If you want to go and get it, watch his videos. I do not have the rights to put out his content. I don't think that's fair. But if you have ultimate performance, it's perfectly fine. If you have high performance, Bitsum high performance, it's all Gucci. You just need to have anything but power saving mode. This will not make a huge difference to your frames unless you play on a laptop. But for PCs, desktops, you're chilling. What you want to do to make it even better, and this is where the main difference comes from, is change the advanced power settings. Now when we have this little menu up, unfortunately I can't make it bigger, so I'm going to minimize this one behind it, and we're just going to focus on this. I'll bring it over towards my face just a little bit so you can, look at my face while I distribute these settings, okay? Make sure your power plan is set. So this is the active power plan. We're going to go down to Intel or graphics settings. And this is for people who only have integrated graphics cards. So they don't have a GPU from Radeon or Nvidia, meaning there's literally no graphics card in your system. And this will help you when you're on like low-end systems, basically. What you want to do is go in here and you want to hit plus, and you want to put this on maximum performance. Even if you don't, it's still worth putting it on. For me, I'm just going to leave it on balance because I have my 2080 Super doing all that hard work, so I don't need to put my Intel graphics settings. It's literally doing nothing for me. I'd rather my CPU be processing rather than processing graphics, doing stuff in the background, doing brain shit, you know what I mean? Keeping it simple out here. But here is where it actually comes in clutch to help you no matter what system you're on, whether you're low end or high end. We're going to go to process power management. We're going to hit plus, and we're going to get met with 2 more options. We have the minimum processor state and the maximum processor state. Now this will help, especially if you're on laptops and low end systems. But if you're on low end, you want to actually set this to 5%. If you're on anything basically that can't push over 80 to 100 frames consistently, you want to actually set this to 5%. If you're on a high-end system like me, so something that can push 200 all day long no matter what game, put this on 100%, okay? Make sure you do that. Now, maximum process, the same thing applies. You want to put this on 95% if you're on a low-end system. If you're on a high-end system, make sure you put this all the way up to 100%, and that's it for step 2. Let's move on to step 3. So for part 3, what we're actually going to do is alter our game settings. So you're going to go into the search bar once again, and we're going to type in game mode settings, okay? When you do this, you're going to be faced with an option of game mode. You obviously want to put this on no matter what type of system you're on. This will give you a more optimized, a less input delay kind of feel. And you can even read it. It says optimize your PC for play by turning things off in the background. So it minimizes background usage while there's a game open. So super great for input delay. And we're going to go into related settings, and it's going to be called graphics. It's the only one there. When this pops up, you're going to be met with loads of things like me or nothing. So actually what you want to do if there's nothing here is you want to go browsing, and you want to find your Fortnite game. Now for me, that's usually in my main hard drive. For you, it might be in your main hard drive, so that's NVMe.2 SSD, and here's my Fortnite game, okay? And you want to go all the way through your Fortnite games until you find the main folder, okay? So the main folders will look like this, the .exes, and the right .exe is the one that's the biggest. You can see that this is 195,000 kilobits. It's the biggest file in here, and you actually want to select that. All right, now I already have it selected, so I'm going to cancel this, and you will see Fortnite pop up in here. I was able to go into options and change this to high performance, and this is important if you have a graphics card in your PC, because sometimes what the game actually likes to do is use your Intel graphics. So remember I mentioned the fact that if you don't have a graphics card, your CPU will start using integrated graphics card. So that's what this is. This is my CPU, and we do not want to use our CPU if we have a graphics card. In my case, a 2080, which is it's a good graphics card, you know, man. But you want to use it. You obviously don't want to let Windows decide. You actually want it on high performance to get more input delay, get even more frames, and by default this might just decide what one to use at random. So you might log into Fortnite, have super great frames, the next day you log in, shit frames. That can happen. It's not the rarest thing in the world, if I'm being honest. So make sure you have this on high performance. On top of that, let's get into part 4, I believe we're on. Okay boys, so for part 5 of this video, we're going to be talking about Intelligent Standby List Cleaner. This is a software that runs in the background and actually helps with input delay. So I'm going to pull this open right now. This is what it will be like when you download it. All you have to do is go into Google, type in ISLC download pack. That's all you need to do. Something like that will work, and when you get it, you download it, it should look exactly or very similar to this. And what you're going to do is open this. Now I will already have it open, you can see, and what it will do is actually you will put it down here in your system tray. So you might not notice this big icon coming on screen right now. You might not notice that because it instantly minimizes it. So just be aware of that. Don't think it's not opening, it just opens down here in your system tray. Now, the main thing that you need to pay attention to is this number right here. You always want to set this to 1024, but this number down here, 8196, this is going to be different for everybody, and the easiest way to know what number to put this is half of this number. So this is my total RAM right here, 16 gigabytes of RAM, which shows as 16,000 megabytes. So roughly half of that is 8,196. You do not need to be exact with it. It's very weird to use this with an 8 gigs of RAM. I would not recommend using this with 8 gigs of RAM. I would say 16 and up is pretty decent. Do not run this with 8 gigs of RAM because it's not going to make much of a difference. It's just going to put more stress on your system. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this to half of our RAM like I mentioned earlier. We're going to put our wanted timer resolution to 0.50. Obviously you have to enable custom timer resolution to do that, okay? And I'm telling you that it's okay to do that. Put it at 0.50. Then what we're going to do is this is going to be different for everybody. Basically, if you're on a high-end system, again, something that can push at least 200 frames, this should be set to 500, so it purges the standby list quicker because you have more available memory and RAM to do so. If you're on a lower system, you should be putting this down to 1000 because you don't need it to update as frequently. So I'm going to be setting this back to 500 because that's what I was told to set it on by other people who are way better at this kind of stuff than me. So I'm just, you know, spreading the message, trying to help you guys out. Then what you're going to do is purge your standby list. You can see that this is just constantly growing. What I will do is hit purge it, and I will reset it to 0, and then I hit start, and it's that simple. This thing should automatically get purged for you in the background now, and everything is just chill. All you have to do is run this minimized. I leave it on. Actually, let me just show you one more thing before I move on to the next thing. I actually opened up my sound settings like an idiot, but look at this. All right, when I actually open this back up, you can see that down here you can start it minimized. That's what I recommend you to do, is to actually start it minimized so it opens every time and it's just constantly working in the background. That's what I've done and it works great for me, helps me get better input delay. Let's move on to the Nvidia settings right now. Okay boys, so now it's time for the Nvidia settings. To get the Nvidia control panel up, you just right click on your home page and you should be able to see it here. If not, you're probably on Windows 11, so you can go in here and it'll actually pop up right here, Nvidia control panel. Now I already had mine open, but I must have closed it, so I'll open it again. And when this pops up on screen, I'm going to go through all of the settings that you need to be putting on and putting off, mostly putting everything off. So when you go into your manage 3D settings, we're going to be turning image sharpening off and the scaling is disabled. We're going to be putting all of the ambient occlusions, filtering, FXAA, gamma correction to off. So that's the next 4 settings off. Anti-aliasing mode will be on application controlled. That means that the application is actually taking the reins for this. It's not your drivers, and this actually allows for a more smoother image and it won't be as blurry, so it doesn't do anything to your frames. It's perfectly fine to leave this on application controlled. It's just a nicer experience. Anti-aliasing transparency, put that to off. Background application max frames. This is worth putting on 30 or 40 FPS because it will actually allow you to have more frames in game. But if you're someone who records or streams constantly or all the time, this is not worth having on because you're going to notice a lot of issues with OBS and with Streamlabs, so don't put that on. And otherwise, Your CUDA GPUs, I have mine set to all. I recommend you to do the same. DSR factors, make sure that is off. That will absolutely kill your frames. What it does is it upscales your image from like 1080p to like 4K or whatever you have it set to, so make sure that's off. Low latency mode down here, I have mine on ultra. You should probably have yours on, and that's only if you don't have G-Sync support. So mine is on ultra because I have G-Sync, meaning it's going to be a much smoother experience. If you don't have G-Sync enabled, leave this on. You will get way better input delay and way less stutters. So you can see my max frame rate is 280 FPS. That's because I'm playing on a 280 Hertz monitor. So it's synced up perfectly, and that's obviously with G-Sync compatibility is on. If you don't have that, don't worry about it. If your monitor is not G-Sync compatible, it's perfectly fine. Just leave it off. Multi-frame sampled AA off. OpenGL rendering GPU, make sure that is your Nvidia graphics card. That's very important. Now for power management mode, I actually have mine on optimal power. Now TRM explained to me why I meant to put this on optimal power, but if you're on a low end system, put this on prefer maximum performance. Optimal power is all around healthier for your graphics card, and it will scale up automatically in the background where you can't see things happening, especially when I show you these next program settings for Fortnite. It's perfectly fine. What will actually happen if you put this on prefer maximum performance is it's going to give more resources to the wrong part of your graphics card. I'm not sure the ins and outs of it. It's going to sound stupid from my point of view because I'm not an expert on all of this stuff, but I was told by an expert that put this on optimal power, and I was actually questioning him because I had it on prefer maximum performance, and people like that make videos like this for a living told me to put it on prefer maximum performance. But when I actually hopped in game, optimal performance actually got me about 20 more frames alone, no cap, and he told me it would get me more frames, but I wasn't expecting 20. And that was in creative. I just uncapped it and just looked at my personal records. That gave me 20 more frames. It could have been everything that I did in this video together giving me more 20 more frames, but that made a difference and it was notable. Just letting you guys know that, okay? Preferred refresh rate is highest available. Shader cache size. Now this is going to be a tricky one to explain because it's basically based off your system, but for everybody, I'm pretty sure if you put this to 5 gigabytes, that should be more than enough. So mine is actually 1.2 gigabytes, and TRM was saying put this on 1 gigabyte because it's closer, but he said it's okay to put it on 5 gigabytes because that's not a lot of RAM and stuff like that being used, or VRAM being used for your shaders, but it's enough to give you a nice image without stutters for everybody. So just listening to him, put that on 5 gigabytes. Texture filtering, put this on. Negative LOD bias, he said put this on clamp. Quality, mine is on high performance. That's probably what you should put yours on as well. Texture filtering, trilinear, put that on. Threaded optimizations, auto. Triple buffering off. Vertical sync off. 1 pre-rendered frames, and virtual reality off. Hopefully that is understandable for everybody. When you go into program settings though, I've actually made a profile for Fortnite. You will see it right now in a second once it decides to load up. Hopefully it does load up for us. It didn't, but I have it here somewhere because I was after setting it up earlier. Let me just find it. So if you find yourself in a scenario where it actually doesn't pop up, so for me it didn't pop up, all you want to do is go into add. Very simple. You should actually get a nice search bar popping up on screen anytime now. Anytime now. I'm only making a video. Gucci, come on. Here we go. So when we have this on screen right here, I'll move it over here so I can explain it to you a bit more in depthly. We just want to scroll around until we find Fortnite. When we find Fortnite, we just want to hit select a program. Now we're going to be customizing Fortnite. Now obviously these are similar settings. You can see my max frame rate in game is set to 277, and that's the only thing that's different from the main settings, and everything else that's in bold. So I have my power management for Fortnite set to prefer maximum performance. That way your GPU isn't running at maximum performance all the time. That's basically all that I've changed within this category, so you should do the same. And for all my Radeon users, let's just talk about that right now. So for all my Radeon users, I obviously don't have a Radeon graphics card, but what I was able to do was look for some screenshots of very optimal settings, and I have one screenshot on screen right now which will definitely help you out. And if you enjoyed this video, consider dropping a like, consider subscribing. With that said, I will see you in the next video.